Welcome to Celtic Chalk Talk. This is a weekly thing we're going to try to do on Mondays each week. We appreciate your listening. We're going to talk about the Celtics and review the week. Wasn't a very good week for the Celtics. My name's Steve Purciello. I'm a lifelong Celtic fan. I've rooted for them since Bill Russell played, which tells you my age. This week, we're going to talk about this slow start. Why are the Celtics 0-3? It's very simple. They don't rebound. They don't rebound at all. They've had trouble getting rebounds. Against Detroit yesterday, they had less than half of the defensive rebounds. I think it was 47%. Think about that. One out of every two shots that Detroit took, they got the rebound. How did we get here? First of all, let me just say, I believe in Brad Stevens. I think he's done a tremendous job, and he did a great job getting out of that second apron this year by trading those people. The problem was he didn't get a legitimate big that can go to the boards and rebound. And by that, I mean somebody getting more than 10 rebounds a game. That's the problem. The Celtics are a good team if they can rebound the ball. Defensively, they're playing well. Offensively, Jalen Brown lit it up yesterday, but they can score some points. So they're a pretty good team outside of the rebounding. This is good news and bad being 0-3. Being 0-3 means if it continues and they don't get a rebounder or they don't improve on the boards, they're going to get a lottery pick. That's a good thing. Although, as a Celtic fan, we have to endure a very rough season. And it's not fun after we were the team that would beat everybody. So that's the negative. The positive is if Boston can go out and get a rebound, if they can get that rebounder in a deal or in some other way, they will then be pretty good. And they will be a 45-win team and be fine in the playoffs and so on and so forth. And if Tatum comes back, it even gets better. Here's my thoughts. The first thing the Celtics had was a chance in the summer for Charles Bassey. I did a little research. Bassey, in the 36 minutes in his career, if he took his career and did each 30-minute thing, you would find that Bassey was able to get over 10 rebounds a game. Boston didn't sign him after the summer. It was a mistake. And now Memphis has signed him on a 10-day contract for the next 10 days. So Boston can't go out and get him. They can trade. Simons is an extra offensive piece, especially with the development of Ugo. With Ugo developing, he's going to take some minutes from these guys. And if you traded Simons and if you can get that big, you're in business. And I'm not talking about Shaquille O'Neal. I'm talking about just somebody who can rebound. Golga Batazzi. Anybody in that level will make Boston a better team because they will begin to be able to hit the boards and they can get that running game going. And by the way, Jalen Brown in the open court is really a very good player. So you're really doing a lot by doing this. If they can do it, the Celtics will be. If, like I said, you get a long season, but a nice lottery pick, and in 2 years you'll forget this year with Tatum coming back and a lottery pick, and so on. We have to withstand the year, and Boston needs to decide what they want to do. They do have some extra people on that bench that aren't producing, so maybe they have to think about that. Let's talk about Joe Missoula. Joe Missoula, I think, is a good coach. He's won a title. Not many coaches have ever done. So there's a positive with Joe. I kind of look at this week, though, and I saw two things I didn't love. The first thing was that against Philadelphia, Maxey was torching Boston. He had 5 fouls. Did Boston even think about running some sort of action where they switched up Maxey and got him on Brown or someone and let them go to the basket and look for that 6th foul? No, they did not. They didn't do that. And the same thing yesterday against Detroit. Cade had 4 in the third quarter, 4 fouls, and they never went at him. They didn't do anything offensively to make them defend the ball and maybe pick up a foul. I'm not saying you run your offense continuously that way, but you do look for your chances to do it. Boston failed to do it. That was disappointing. The other thing I'm having problems with, every team needs routine. By routine, I said guys going in and out at certain periods of the game, and they all understand it and they know their roles. Boston doesn't have roles right. What I'm trying to say here is what Joe Missoula needs to do is look at his team, decide, okay, we're going to go with A, B, C, and D, and this is the way we're going to play. And you let those guys play. Now, if they don't do their job, you got guys that aren't playing, that you begin to give them the shot. Now, it's a long season. People get hurt. So everybody gets a shot at some point during the season. But it's very important that Missoula can settle into a routine for his players. Players like routine. He needs to have a routine for it. Now let me talk about two guys who deserve more playing time. Hugo Gonzalez is a defensive stopper, and he's going to be a stud in the league. He's going to be there for a while. He's going to make some money because he can defend. He will get better offensively, but the defense is so good. Tonight they play New Orleans. I'm wondering if they try to put him on Zion. It will be an interesting thing to try. But that's how good he can be. Yesterday, he frustrated Cade a couple times early. In fact, Cade was pushing off the ball and doing little things that told you he was frustrated. He didn't enjoy somebody pressuring him the way Hugo did. So Hugo has to play, and he needs more time. It might be at the expense of Sam Hauser, but he also can spell the three guards. Does that mean less time for Simons? Possibly. That's why he's a great person to deal. The other person that I'm impressed with because of high energy like Hugo, but also he does lots of little things, is Josh. Josh can, defensively, he's pretty good. And you come up with a couple nice steals. They've come up with nice steals. He's not a great offensive player, but he's a great guy off the bench, a lot of energy, and he can go to the basket. Not a great shooter at all, but he can go to the basket and make things happen. Guys like him and Hugo, when they come into a game, they make things go. They just pep everybody up because they play so hard. Yesterday, you had to, when you watched the game, you realized the Celtics were playing hard. They played. And part of it was starting Hugo, and he got after it early. Boston got out to that early lead. So those are positive things. Now, one of the negative things that I'm finding is this. First of all, coming into the season, we all think that Derrick White will make the next step and become an all-star. I think that's a thing thought throughout the league, because without Tatum, he's got to step up. He hasn't so far. It's only 3 games, campaign, but he's only shooting 28.6 from 3. Now, maybe it's me, but last year it seemed every time Boston was in trouble, he'd hit a 3 in the fourth quarter. And he was always around the net. In other words, his shots were close to falling at all times. This year, he's had a couple of bad ones. 28.6%. Again, you want to be over 33, at least over 33. And in the NBA, if you're over 37, that's good. That's where White belongs, and that's how good he is. He can help him a ton if he can begin to get his shot to fall. The other person that's doing as well, and we projected more for him, was Peyton Pritchard. Pritchard, believe it or not, is only shooting 18.2% after 3 games from 3. Pritchard is another one. Last year, we thought he wasn't going to miss. He always hit the threes, and he can hit them from anywhere, from almost 5-10 feet behind the three-point line. He can shoot. He's good at going to the basket. He can do it all, but he needs confidence because it seems like it's waning right now. He needs to start believing that he can make those shots. The third person, and with the development of Hugo and Sam Hauser, of course, who's a great shooter, needs to play, especially when you need the big basket, is Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons is a walking basket. He can score on anybody. He played better defense than I thought, but he's not a great defender, but he's playing hard. But you know what? He's being cheated because the Celtics have the 3 guards they're starting. They have Hauser, and now Hugo's stepping in. Hauser has tried to play the 4. Anthony's not getting the time he should be getting. That's a problem. Boston needs to do him a service because it's his last year of his contract, but also to help the Celtics. Maybe it's time to see if someone will take him. And if you can get somebody big that can rebound. And in the back of your mind, you can funnel money through the nets and possibly get a player, funnel the money, and get Boston out of the tax. If you do that, it makes things easier in the future because next year they'll be back in the tax as they try to win with the return of Tatum. That's it for now. Thank you. And next week, we'll be back again with some more thoughts on the Celtics.